realization a couple of weeks ago that I've been trying to make these videos for, the last 18 months, and I've ended up working out that the way that I've been approaching them has been, at least for me, completely wrong. When I started making the videos, what I wanted them to do, or what I wanted them to be, was a way for me to share a little bit about what I'm doing as a designer and the creative sort of work that I'm doing, and sending that out into the world and hopefully giving some people a bit of inspiration, but also to use it as a way to hopefully connect with other people. I also wanted it to be a bit of a journal for my own creative process and thinking, and I think the combination of all those things is what I wanted to sort of capture in these videos. And the realization that I had a couple of weeks ago was that the approach that I'd been taking was completely wrong for making that happen. I was approaching the videos as trying to make them to be these kind of beautiful cinematic things and scripting out everything that I was going to say and trying to make them look and sound kind of perfect and polished. And I ended up working out that whilst that would have kind of been nice, taking that approach was really creating a barrier or a level of friction which was actually stopping me from doing it. And it was also taking me away from the creative work that I actually wanted to be doing. The other thing I realized is that the videos that I actually like watching myself, that creative people are putting out, are usually, well, they're pretty much always not the shiny, polished ones. They're more the ones where it feels like you've been invited into their studio, and then it's more of that vlog type of approach where it feels like you're just looking over someone's shoulder and they're just chatting to you and they're trying to communicate what they do in a more relaxed and authentic manner. Thinking about those two things together gave me the realization that, as I said, the way that I was approaching making these videos was, for me, pretty much completely wrong. So what I'm trying to do now is take a bit of an opposite approach and start to make my videos as a sort of a vlog type of approach, where, as I said before, where I'm just bringing people into the studio, sharing what I'm working on and thinking about in my design projects, the things that I'm making and doing personally, and also, I guess, where I'm just finding inspiration and what I'm doing to help me to feel more creative on a daily basis. I also just realized that I should introduce myself. For those of you who are new here, my name is Ben, and I've been a designer for the last 30 odd years, and for a bit over half of that, I've been running my own small design studio. About 18 months ago, my wife and I bought this farm, and we're sort of in the process of doing a whole range of things. We're renovating the home, but also trying to create sort of a creative space here where we're building a workshop and event space next door, doing the studio and sort of, I guess, make a space for me here, and then doing a whole bunch of other smaller projects on the farm. We want it to be a sort of, as I said, a creative space, but a place where we can actually make things and play and experiment and do all those sort of things. So in these videos, I'm going to share bits about what I actually do in my daily design studio and projects, the things that we're doing here on the farm and the creative spaces that we're trying to make, but also just, I guess, just share a little bit about how we try to find inspiration and live more creative lives ourselves. So if you're a designer or a creative person yourself, hopefully that sort of sounds of interest. And what I'm going to do over the next couple of days is just sort of bring you along into the studio. I've got to go back to the city for projects and a few things that I'm doing there. So I'll sort of take you along for that. And then also just show you some bits that we're doing around the farm to hopefully give you a bit of inspiration yourself. espresso. Can't beat it. I call it breakfast of champions. Last night I was thinking about the work I'm doing today in the studio and how I can document that and put together a video as I'm going. And the thought that sort of popped into my mind is that even though I'm talking about doing that process, I thought I'd actually share the why behind my thinking, in case you're some kind of designer or creative person and you've been thinking about doing it yourself. So there's one thing to actually do it, but yeah, going back to why actually bother, because it does take time and effort and can get in the way of things. So I think just jotting down a couple of ideas that I wanted to share. The reason why I'm doing it is that, well, there's two things. One is that for me, it's a new sort of creative avenue. I love just trying different things that aren't directly related to what I do on a daily basis and then getting sort of inspiration from doing that. So the process of filming, learning about cameras and all those sort of things has been, for me, really good and eye-opening, and I've really enjoyed it. The other part of that is that I think actually going through the process of getting your thoughts down and articulating those, it's one of the most important things that you can do as a creative person. When I started out as a designer, I thought you'd just sort of, you create a pretty plan or a plan, you roll it out and everyone will kind of understand what you're talking about. But I pretty quickly learned that your ability to actually articulate your ideas and get to people to understand those is one of the most valuable things that you can do. And I find creating these videos, it's kind of like a journal for myself, which actually forces me to get my thoughts out of my back of my mind and actually put them down and share them. And I think that's a really good skill that you can have as any type of designer or creative person. So there's that element of building new skills and doing new creative things, which is the first point. The second point that I think is probably very relevant at the moment that I wanted to talk about is the way that the creative design and creative industries are changing, or all industries are changing at the moment on the back of AI and the technologies that are sort of emerging. When I started out as a designer, there was none of all of this, but people sort of had to come to you for the service that you offered and what you did. And there was the big companies and smaller sort of boutique firms, but it was kind of word of mouth and people would see your projects and the way that they approached you, it was very different to what it is now. Seeing how this is changing, and this is just my opinion, but to me, I think there's going to be more and more people that are going to be working as individual sort of creatives. And your ability through things like this to actually get out into the world what you do, but more importantly, why, is going to be really critical for you to connect with other people, but also to open up other creative opportunities. And one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about, and I'll share in future videos, is that I think the days of kind of specializing in one area of whatever it is, some type of design or architecture, and just focusing on that one thing and making that all that you do, it's not going to disappear, but I think it's going to get more difficult into the future. I think creative people are going to have to spread their skills in different areas and rethink how they can use them. And I think the process of doing this, where you document your ideas and then you share them and get them out into the world, is kind of one of the best things that you can do in that regard. So again, I'm working my way through these things and I want to share more ideas, and maybe in future videos I'll dive into my thinking around these things in more detail. So if you're interested, and I'd love to hear from you, shoot me a comment, or maybe I'll put together some notes that I can send out. But hopefully by sharing these sort of things and the thoughts that I'm having as I'm working through them, it'll hopefully help other people if they're sort of trying to struggle to think about what they're going to do in the future as well. But I do think the process of sharing your creative life is going to become more important into the future, but it shouldn't take away from the core element of what you want to do. I'm just going through and roughing together some of this video that you're watching now, and I've realised that it's already going longer than I'd originally hoped. I know at the start of the video I said I'm heading back to the city and I'll take you along and I'll talk a bit about the farm and the studio and those sort of things, but I've run out of time, so I'll do those in the next couple of videos. My aim is to try to create some type of vlog video like this pretty much once every week. So if the things that I'm sort of chatting about are of interest and you want to follow along, you can subscribe and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully this has been some use to you, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.